Hi, everyone. This is Sheila Butler with Successful Women Talk. I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. And today on the show, I have guest Chris Atley. Now, Chris is a certified life coach and a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. She's an expert in the field of law of attraction, and she's a self-proclaimed spiritual junkie. Spirituality junkie, even better. So she holds a degree in psychology, so hang on to your pants, and here we go. And I just want to welcome Chris.
Thank you. This is fun already. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I met you at an event in Dallas about a month ago, and I loved your talk. So I couldn't wait to have you on the show, introduce you to the audience, and let them hear a little bit more about you and what you do. So I appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Well, listen, let's start off with letting them know a little bit more about you. So maybe a little bit about your background and kind of how you got started and how that led you to where you are today.
Sure. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. It's kind of a long story, but so essentially what I'm doing with my business now is business coaching, and I really work with entrepreneurs who are struggling, who are overwhelmed, and I help them to break free from that and really create the life and the business that they really want. And I didn't always start off doing this. So I was in insurance actually for 10 years. In Canada. Right now I'm in California.
That's a big change.
Pardon?
That's a big change.
Yeah.
Insurance too, yeah.
Huge change. So I got a job right out of university. You had mentioned that I have a BA in psychology. So I was always interested in helping people and doing something like that. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I had worked at an insurance company for a summer and saw a posting about helping people that had been injured in accidents. And I thought, oh, that sounds like a great fit. This is what I want to do. So I actually chose that field, which people always say, did you fall into that? No, I chose it. And I loved it at first. I excelled. I took all the courses, moved up, and moved into handling really large property claims, commercial liability. And I was enjoying it for a while, but about halfway in, I really started to feel stuck and was seeing people at their worst. It was really adversarial, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out what I wanted to do. And so I thought about, being a lawyer. I thought about going back to school for psychology. I even thought about doing an MBA, all of the traditional sort of next steps. And none of them really ever felt quite right to me. And so it actually took me being off on maternity leave with my first, in Canada, we get a year off,
wow,
which I know is crazy. And I was off, and a couple months later, my dad actually passed away. Wow. And so it was just a really, really rough time for me. And, really felt like something had to give, and, just kind of was angry and all this stuff going on. And one day I ended up watching the movie The Secret, and that really is what changed everything for me, because I just had no idea that, we could create what we want to create, and that our thoughts really can become our reality. And I always was a dreamer, so this was so exciting to me. And for me, it was, they kept saying, follow your bliss. So I knew I wanted to move to California. And for those of you that know about visas, you can't just pick up and move from Canada to California. So that is really where my spiritual journey started. I was learning everything I could about the law of attraction, and got into some pretty deep books, and it was really exciting. And that is, I really believe, how we made the move happen to California. And along the way, I also heard about coaching. So it was like doors kept opening, like they say in the movie. And it was really exciting, and heard about coaching and thought, this sounds great. I'm going to make sure this is a fit, hire a coach. So I did that, not expecting to make so many life changes myself. So then I was really believing in the process too, which was exciting. And then from there, I decided to get certified, and I started my business right away. And then I was able to make that transition from, being in insurance, which actually ended up being 10 weeks to the day, 10 years to the week that I was there. So funny how things work out, and then made the transition. And then we were also a couple of years after that able to move to California. So it all kind of happened together.
It all happens like it's supposed to. Let me ask you this. So after your year of maternity leave, did you go back to insurance for a while? Is that for a couple of years?
I did. I went back, I think it was for about a year. So I actually was able to negotiate going back part-time at first, which was kind of unheard of in that industry at the time. So I was able to do that. And then I had picked up a few clients, things were going well, and then they wanted me to go back full-time. So I went full-time for a few months and thought, this is just too crazy, with a little boy at home, trying to handle clients in the evenings and on the weekends. So I was able to just quit entirely, make the transition, and haven't looked back.
Man, so many great nuggets and so many paths based on what you said, that I want to go down. But one thing I want to touch on real quickly, because I don't know a lot about the law there, but let's say here in the United States, I know women struggle, not women, men as well, but we're just going to focus on women. We struggle with work-life blend. And a lot of people don't want to admit that, and I'm the first to admit it. I love being a mother. It's a heart and soul. But I also love creating and being a businesswoman. So I love both parts. I truly believe 100% that you can have it all if you know what your all is and you figure out a way to make that all happen. You have to define it. So how was it having a year of maternity leave? So I know here it's really short compared to a lot of places. How was that going back into the work field after being out for a year?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I went back after 9 months because I was ready to go back.
I love your honesty.
So I'm not really one of those moms that's like down on the floor playing, and, maybe more so now, but, it just wasn't for me. And it's not that, I didn't love being a mom. I did, but I'm the same as you, where I needed more. So I actually sought out going back after those 9 months. And that's when I was able to negotiate part-time. And it was actually after that I saw The Secret. So I was already back for, or maybe I had just seen it. It was right around the same time. And then I went back, and then it ended up being a year of part-time, and full-time before I ended up.
I love that. And I really love that you're honest about that, because, I think for so long women thought it was taboo to say, I really kind of want to work. I love being a mom, and we talked about this a little bit before we started recording. My kiddos go to preschool a few days a week, and I'm a better mother because of it. I'm not as stressed out. I know that when they're home full time with me on Tuesday, Thursdays, and by the time it's time for my partner to be home, I'm like, done. I'm done. It's your turn. I've had them all day. I've played Play-Doh as much as I can. I've colored as much as I can. Because we don't do a lot of TV here, so you have to entertain them. Well,
exactly.
I love it, and I'm not complaining, but I am saying that there is a part of me, and I think it's okay, women out there, if you want to admit it, that you can do both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can do both, and you can, like you said, have it all. Well, what is your all? For some people, it's staying home full time. Right. And for others, it's, running a business and being able to do both. And for others, it's having that corporate job. So, if we just kind of let go of the judgment of all of it and just support each other and say, hey, that's not for me, but that's okay that you're doing that, then I think it just would be such a better place.
Oh, I totally agree. Let me ask you this. So let's talk a little bit about The Secret and the law of attraction, because I believe I'm a half glass full kind of person, and I believe mind over matter, but so many people don't. So let's talk about that for a little bit. How'd you get into it? I know you kind of watched the movie, but let's get your spin on it and how it's impacted your life, and how can it impact someone else's life out there?
You know what? It just broke up a little bit. Can you say that one more time for me?
Sure. So, and I can cut this part out, so no worries. So, you watched the movie The Secret, and then I'm guessing you started studying it a lot. And you talked a little bit about how it impacted your life. So I'm a glass half full kind of person. So I believe that in mind over matter. So let's talk about that a little bit, because we as women, we beat ourselves up a lot. We are our own worst enemies. So let's talk about taking the lemons and making lemonade out of it. So what's your approach on that?
Yeah, so I really think that when we're in that negative place, and I mean, even the most positive people go down that path sometimes. And it's just amazing to me how being in that negative place, so that could be anything from, being sad or grumpy, or, maybe you're doubting yourself, like any kind of negativity that's going on. It's amazing to me how widely that affects our perspective. It's literally like what you just said with the glass half empty or half full. Like you just don't see things clearly when you're in that negative place. And you don't see all of the opportunities that are there for you right then. You talk about the law of attraction, and really it's all right there for us. It's really just about raising that vibration so that you can see all of those wonderful things that are already there in your life waiting for you. And when you're negative, you just can't even see through the fog. All you see is more to complain about or more to feel bad about.
Yeah.
So it's just so important. And then what I've noticed is, you might doubt yourself with something you're doing in business. And if you're in that state, it literally affects every other area in your life. It carries over to when you're with your kids or when you're with your spouse, or, it just is just a, not a great place to be. And for growing your business, right? So what I tell people is to, really do whatever you need to do to feel positive. So I think so often we feel like, oh, we have to figure this out, and we have to, talk ourselves into being in a better mood or something like that. And what I've come to realize is it's really about physically changing your energy. So get up, go for a walk, out in nature, or put on a good song, or, read a book for 5 minutes, or do a meditation, like whatever it is that works for you. And it might change depending on where you're at. But just do whatever you can so that you can get back to that positive place and not let it affect your whole day.
I agree.
Yeah.
And when we met in Dallas, you shared your story, and then you talked about what you did for negative thoughts. And do you remember what I'm talking about? Can you share? I really love that story that you told. And I love your message about writing down the negative things in your life. Can you share that with our listeners?
Yeah, that's a great one for when you're really trying to dig out some negative beliefs. So, if you're feeling like that you're not confident enough, or, it could even be something around money. Like I was sharing in that talk that mine was thinking people with a lot of money were in some way arrogant or not kind. And so, and that's a limiting belief, because if you really want to grow your business and earn a lot of income doing what you love, if you have that belief, stuck down there, then it's going to prevent you from really achieving the levels that you want. So what I was sharing was, it's fun to make a list of all of those limiting beliefs that are holding you back, and then actually burn it. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And it's fun. Of course, I always have to say in a safe environment, but it's just like you don't want it hanging around anywhere. So become aware of it, write it down, burn it, release it, and then replace it with a belief that you really want to have instead.
Yeah, I love that. One time I heard a story about, and I don't know who to attribute this to, but I heard this story that there were these two guys, and one was very successful, and one was in prison. They were brothers, and they interviewed both of them, and they asked the one guy, "What made you so successful?" And their father had been in prison for murder or something, and they said, "What made you turn out so good? What made you so successful?" And he said, "Because of my father." And then they asked the other guy that's in prison, "What made you the way you are? And why did you turn out the way you are?" And his answer was, "Because of my father."
Wow.
So I really like that, because we're all raised differently, and we all have bad things that happen to us. But I think somehow, and maybe that's where you can help us, how do you get over those? How do you help people not go back to those negative places? Because we have to get past them somehow.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And with my clients, we'll actually do some exercises, which are really cool. And you'll go back in time and kind of look at the situation from a clear point of view, and really look at what each person in that situation is going through, and then take the learning of that through to where you're at now in your life. And it's almost like you can let go of, that negative situation, or you can flip it in your mind and see it more clearly, because there's always things that we can learn. And, I really believe that people are in our lives for a reason, and that they're teaching us something. And even if it's the most negative situation, if you can kind of take that more observer opinion and see it with a clear perspective, that's so helpful for going forward and kind of just taking those nuggets with you and leaving the bad part behind.
Yeah, I like that. Used to with our customer service team, we would always say, answer the phone with a smile, because that already changes sort of the whole dynamic of how the phone call is going to be. And we'd have customer service reps that would get off and they would be so upset with someone. And my point to them always was, you don't know what they've gone through. You don't know what has just happened. And if we can maybe be a little more sympathetic and empathetic and maybe put ourselves in someone else's shoe, you don't know.
That's so true. And there's a great book. You may have read it, The 4 Agreements.
I have not read that.
Oh, it's awesome. And it just talks about that, not making assumptions and not taking things personally. And that one I highly recommend to anybody that's in business for themselves, because, running a business really is the best personal development course we can ever take. We're forced to get our own stuff dealt with, right? And it's an awesome book. Yeah.
I'll link that up in the show notes as well. And talking about getting stuff done, I love systems and productivity, all of those things. And we talked about work-life blend. Let's talk about, how do you get work done? I mean, do you work Monday through Friday? Let us kind of know how you work.
Yeah, sure. So it's funny because right now we're going through a summer transition with the kids. So I had mentioned to you before the show started, our kids are turning 7 and 4 next week. And so, it's one of those things where you have your routine set up for the year. So I do work Monday to Friday, and for the most part, I'm picking the kids up from school, which I really enjoy doing. And, but I'm flexible with it. So if I have a meeting or a client session that I really need to handle outside of those hours, then I will make arrangements. But summer is a whole other ball game, right? With camps and, juggling things. And so they are in camp, and that makes things easier. And sometimes it feels like, oh, well, I'm the one who has to organize all of this. But on the other hand, I love being the one who gets to organize it and set the hours and that sort of thing. So I've really just tried to become more kind with myself. So
you're giving yourself a break.
Yeah, giving myself a break and realizing, if I want to be able to have extra time with them in the summer, then that means that I'm not, focusing as much with the business. And it's just realizing that and setting up a schedule that works for me and for my goals, and that also, business goals and personal goals as well. So with spending time with kids.
I love that, because I was noticing the other day, someone posted on Facebook that it was an entrepreneur and a solopreneur, and she was sick, but she was in bed working on her laptop. And she's like, why is it that I can't give myself permission to be sick? And it's the same thing. Sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to enjoy ourselves, or to be moms, or to, we are so hard on ourselves, and I put that stress on myself.
Right.
No one else is putting it on me.
Exactly. We're the boss, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I found, that if we can just cut ourselves a break and really organize our business the way we want it to be run, because that's the whole point of being in business for yourself.
Yeah.
So if you can't take a day here and there, then it's almost like, you're just having a job.
Oh, that is such a good point. It is. It's like having a job. And that's what I help with my clients as well, is that they're overwhelmed. Like you said, people are just overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And what I have found is it's simple things to put in place. I mean, there are a lot of complex productivity tools that you can put in place. I don't recommend those. Figure out what works for you. The more simple it is, the more you're going to stick with it.
Yes.
And it's just going to, like a simple calendar. Put your family on your calendar, your business on your calendar, everything on your calendar, and you have it one place.
Yes.
It just reduces that stress level.
Yes, absolutely. And like you said, knowing what time you have to spend on your business. And then I do a calendar as well. So I have a big paper one. It's right over here. You can't see it, but a big paper one where I map out all of those, everything that I want to do for the year. So even events and teleclasses and all of that stuff. And family birthdays are on there. They're set in stone, so they're non-negotiables for me. And just getting clear on that.
I love that. I love that. So let's talk about neuro-linguistic programming. So when I think that, of course, who do you think I think of? Tony Robbins. That's what most people think of. Well, I love it. So how do you use that in your business, and how do you help your clients kind of think about that and help them in their businesses?
Yeah, so it's really about helping people shift their behaviors in order to get the results that they want. So their behaviors and beliefs. And so the way I use it is, my business coaching is really a combination of helping people map out their time and their plan so that they're focusing on revenue generating activities. And then we're also tackling the mindset and having a healthy and abundant mindset to go with it. Because I always say that, you can have all the sales and marketing tools in the world, but if you don't have the mindset to go with it, then you're really not going to get the results that you want.
Oh, yes.
So the way that I use it is, I'll help people with the strategy. So say they need to be making X number of sales calls a week. And then if they're not doing that, then there's more of a mindset issue going on. So we're digging out what's really going on, beneath the surface in terms of beliefs. And, because making a sales call is really about putting yourself out there. And are you, being afraid of what other people think, and all of that stuff comes with it. So the NLP, I'm really helping them dig out what's going on and helping them shift those beliefs and reframing them so that they can move past them and actually achieve the results they want.
I love that. I was on a coaching call last night, and this one lady was saying that the coach asked her, why are you not following up these leads, or why are you not getting more business? She goes, well, I'm not really following up with my leads. And her thing was, the coach was, why are you not following up with the leads? She goes, I just don't really like talking to people. But she's like, you have to connect those things together. So I know you may not like it, but it may be one of those things that you just need to schedule. And that's one of those things that maybe that's a heavier task for her. So maybe that's something she does early in the day, because it's like exercise for me. If I'm going to exercise, I have to do it in the morning, or I will talk myself out of it by the end of the day.
Right.
Totally.
Yes. And I love that. That's so important to pay attention to when you're your best, and then doing those more difficult things during that time. Because you're absolutely right. It's easy to talk yourself out of it when your productivity level is low, Yeah.
What is your favorite, if you have one, productivity app or tool that you like? Are you an Evernote user? Or what do you use with business? Anything that you have a favorite of, or are you a paper girl?
Yeah. You know what? I do everything on my Mac, but I don't really use any apps. So for me, I'm a little more traditional, where I really believe in chunking out my time. So making sure that in my monthly schedule, my daily or weekly schedule, I should say, is there's time for me to work on my business, and then there's time for me to work in my business.
I love that.
Yeah. And then from there, so I'm really just looking at it more in terms of time management, and then narrowing down those marketing projects. So for, working on my business to maybe 2 to 4 projects at once, and going through the motions and the steps during that allotted time. And then working in my business is going to be more of the client calls, and really doing a great job with servicing my clients and focusing there. And so for me, it's more about chunking that time out. And then the tools I use are, just right now I just used iCal in my Mac, and that's synced up to everything with Time Trade for booking appointments and all of that stuff. So that's what I found to be really helpful. Yeah. And then, getting clear, just getting clear on what those activities are that I should be focusing on. And then that's what I share with my clients too.
I love that. A lot of people go, well, you're big and I love technology, but a lot of people go, I guess you encourage all of your clients to go completely paperless. And I don't, because it doesn't matter what works for me. That may not work for you or someone else. It matters what works for that person.
Exactly.
So you fit the same strategy in their world.
Yeah, I love that. That's so important because, it has to work for that person or they're not going to do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
So tell us, what are you working on right now? So I know you get your coaching, and then you have anything coming up that you do courses and stuff as well?
Yeah, so I am starting a mastermind group for the fall, and I'm going to be taking 10 people for that. So that is exciting, and we're gonna, do a combination of live and in-person retreats, and more of an intimate setting with, just the 10 people, and then a combination of the retreats with the phone calls, so one-on-one calls and group calls. So I'm really excited about that, and and then I'm doing lots of speaking and getting out there. We're going to Canada this August, and I'm also going to be doing some speaking in Canada as well, which is great.
And you take your family with you when you go, or just you?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so, and that's just another little trick of the trade is combining, family trips with doing some speaking and that sort of thing too.
Yeah, I love that. And it's smart, because then you're not going to be off. I don't consider it balanced, but then you're blending it nicely, because you still have work, you still have your speaking, you still get that, and then you still have your family. I think it's perfect.
And there's lots of tax perks too.
Exactly. I love it.
Leverage.
Exactly. Hey, listen, if someone wanted to connect with you, where would you want to send them? Because they may want to learn more about you. And if you haven't checked out our website, I will link all of that up in the show notes as well. You should. So she's got a great blog. But why don't you give them the address or where you want to send them? Yeah,
sure. So just about that mastermind, if anyone is interested, then you can email my assistant for that, who's Hannah, HANAH, at totalharmonycoaching.com. And to just learn more about my business and myself, you can go to my website, which is totalharmonycoaching.com. And on that, I actually have a free gift, which is called my Entrepreneurial Manifesto Kit.
Okay.
And that comes with 3 little goodies. So there's an audio class, there's a fun assessment to see where you're at in your business, and then some tips for moving forward, and also my weekly articles. And everything is really geared towards helping you get focused on the right revenue generating activities so that you can increase your income and really hit your big business and life goals.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you know what I like that you pointed out early on is that you are a coach, but you had a coach. So it's like, I think it's important, professional golfers, professional parents, there's coaching for almost everything. You don't have to be the expert yourself. You don't have to recreate the wheel.
Yeah, and you know what? I will probably always have a coach too. I have a coach now. Yeah, and I, as I hit new levels and come up against new obstacles, then I'm hiring the coach that fits for that. So because you always want to keep growing and learning. So.
Absolutely. And what about mastermind? Are you part of a mastermind group yourself?
Yeah, I am part of a mastermind group as well. Yeah, so I meet with a group of women by the beach in California.
Oh, even better.
So yeah, we go to a really inspiring spot that's gorgeous, and we meet once a month. And there's 6 of us, and that's been amazing too, and just such a great support. Because just back to the whole kind of finding your tribe and that sort of thing. I think as a mom and as a business owner, it is hard to find like-minded people that are doing the same thing. So I have found that is just amazing. And sometimes we're talking about business, and sometimes we're just talking about struggles in our own lives, and it's just been really, really valuable.
But that makes you so much more well-rounded. I find the same thing in my mastermind group. It's not always just about business. It is because my life is not just about business.
Exactly.
My life is about the blend.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
And it's having those people that understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur, and whether or not you have kids, that's helpful too with, those struggles that come with being an entrepreneur and having kids. But just having a group of other women that are entrepreneurs as well has been so helpful.
Well, Chris, I so appreciate you coming on the show today. It's been a blast. We'll link everything up in the show notes. Excuse me. Thank you again, and I hope you have a terrific day.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The world needs you, so don't underestimate your greatness. If you liked today's episode, you can spread the word by using the share buttons on the side. And if you want to learn how to simplify your life and your business, join the community and get our free updates directly to your inbox.